When God looks at you, what face do you think he makes? You might say, why, why do I need to know the answer to that question? I'll tell you why. David in Psalm 17 says, effectively, if you don't know the answer to that question, you're not going to make it through hard times. As David is saying, when hard times come, there's two ways you can respond. There's people who their portion is in this life. So they say, we'll get through this. Or, this will pass and then it'll get better. And he says, you know what? If your portion is in this life, you're going to get everything you're hoping for. And that's it. But that's not what he says. He says, as for me, I shall behold your face in righteousness. When I awake, I shall be satisfied with your likeness. David doesn't say, you know what? I'm going to get everything I want in heaven. He says, no, what I'm going to get is God's face. Now, in the Old Testament, when you looked upon God's face, people would say, I can't look upon God's face and live. And yet, David's hope is to look upon God's face in righteousness and to be satisfied. How could he do that? Well, again, let me ask again. What face do you think God makes when he thinks about you, when he looks at you? Well, let me give you an illustration to answer this. Jesus is on the night before he went to the cross. He's talking to his disciples, and they don't get it. And he's talking about going to the cross. He's talking about his hour. And they're not understanding. And he says, when a woman is giving birth, she has sorrow because her hour has come. But when she's delivered the baby, she no longer remembers the anguish for joy that a human being has been born into the world. Now, do you hear what Jesus is saying? Let me ask you, what face does a woman make, does a mother make, when her baby is born and placed on her breast? It's a face of pure adoration and ecstatic joy. And Jesus is saying, look, I'm going to the cross, and like a woman giving birth in anguish, that is the face I am going to make for you. And that is the thing that motivated Jesus to go through the sorrow and the anguish and the pain of the cross, was because he wants the joy of looking upon you, his child. And he was saying, disciples, you right now, I'm going to look upon you with such adoration and joy. And that was what motivated him to go through the sorrow of the cross. And so then Jesus says, so also you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. The way we make it through sorrow and anguish now is we know that the face of God smiles at us with adoration and joy, and Jesus went to the cross so that he could have the joy of looking upon us like that. So now you can receive the face of Christ, and we can let that get us through the anguish and the sorrow of whatever hardships we're going through. We can look for more than our portion in this life. And we look for more than consolation. We look for the face of God now and in eternity.